Hawkman issue 22.
This is the Hawkwoman issue, essentially. It pretty much follows mostly from her point of view. She touches the artifact that they rescued from the planet, and gets a big double page splash of all of it. Well, a lot of her previous lives.
So I might have spent 5 to 10 minutes studying this page to look for my favorite Hawkwomen.
That's fair. I really like the gunslinger with the hat. So good.
I think she is. The Plague Doctor Archer one's kind of cool.
It is. There's one at the bottom left as well, in the flowing robe with the daggers. It's kind of Egyptian-y, but I don't think that is the Egyptian one.
No, not her. I forget her name in the Egyptian. I remember he's Khufu.
Oh, I forget her name. Yeah, I don't think that's the Egyptian one. I'm sure that was somewhere else, but maybe I'm wrong.
But then I found my favorite one, and it's definitely the Kryptonian.
Where's the Kryptonian?
Dead center.
Oh, I see it.
Yep.
Is that like an Amazon one hiding behind her? Just on the right, in small on the...
Or it's the Knight.
Well, it could be, yeah.
Yep. And then I don't know if the jetpack one's meant to be the Rainian.
I think it is. It looks like it to me.
She looks like the Rocketeer.
Yeah, she does.
The leather jacket, the helmet, and then you got the more classic of them. You have the gold one, who I don't recognize, but you have her as the Thanagarian cop with the metal wings. But no, definitely the gunslinger one. You also, if you notice, the right next to her, as she's on her knees, right, freaking out over this.
Yeah.
There's the one that we saw in the short story on the planet where they kept.
Oh, is that what that one was?
Yeah. Like the heavy infantry one. So, yeah, I love this book. Just the fact, not just this, right? But when she comes out of this and Sky Tyrant's like, oh, wow, that went a lot quicker for you. For Carter, he had to do this.
Much.
Yeah. He had to do this whole thing where, a giant stone ape tried to crush him. Then he slipped a whole mess of slipping through his past lives. Just to find out he's a hero reincarnating across time and space. Yeah, some letdown, huh? Yeah. And I just was like, oh, man, Venditti's having so much fun.
And you've got her being like, Carter knows, and he never told me. And you've got Carter, the ghost of Carter inside Sky Tyrant's body being like, no, I rolled on. I was going to tell you. I just haven't seen you yet.
Yeah.
And obviously she can't hear any of this.
Right.
And Sky Tyrant's like, oh, he knew. He was just having fun not telling you, basically.
Yep. Oh, man. So, and this is like, again, every time we bring this up, and I can never remember, is this the one that was in Justice League of the Thanagar Prime? Or do we have different? Because reincarnating across time and space, right, as Interstellar has taught us, relativity and all that, they could be concurrent, right? Like, we could have the Hawk World version, which is this one. We could have the Thanagar Prime one.
Yep.
And we have Hawk Girl running around, that was always my one hang-up, though, is her being reincarnated into Hawk Girl, yet still being around. I like that they're distancing Hawk Girl from the Hawkman, Hawkwoman combo.
It reminds me of going back to, like, the early stuff in John's GSA when she was just, like, related.
Yeah.
Obviously later it was like, oh, she's a reincarnation. But
right.
The idea of her being a relation but not an incarnation kind of worked for me.
So just the whole time and space stuff, and then her being like, well, this is, so if there was one of you, there must have been one of me.
Yeah, in the Earth 3. And he's like, oh, yeah, you were sick and depraved. It was great.
God, I loved you. Like, have you seen Natural Born Killers? Because I know you're not a Tarantino guy.
No.
Okay, but he wrote that. That's why I say that. Like, I know that's an Oliver Stone movie. But I got Natural Born Killer vibes. When he says that, like, I read it in the Woody Harrelson character.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, I can hear it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's sinking cruise ships was your favorite.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so good.
Shoot. But yeah, so, and then you got Carter sticking that, like, basically fighting so hard that it ends up making a difference. Like, he throws Sky Tyrant into the wall.
And the way he lands on his face smashing through the floor a little bit, and then like his neck bending looks so uncomfortable.
Yep. And so she goes in to let him out. And I thought she's done for because she has her mace trying to get to Carter, and then his barbarian mace comes and floats straight at her. Oh man! But it's Hawkwoman.
She's good. She's got this. She's like, wait, come on, 1,000 lives, and that's the best ambush you can do.
Yeah, Venditti's doing a good job of making me like Shayra. Like, it's not that hard. She's already redheaded. Like, come on. But
it's true.
This version of her, that's like the sassy, sticks up for herself, like, leader of Thanagar, if you will. Like, it's real good. And yeah, so what are you gonna do? Shoot me? And then the metals hit, and it causes an explosion that affects the ship.
Yeah, it blows out Breach, and she's trying to grab on, and he gets sucked out, I think, and then comes back in.
Yeah, because Strange and so the Atoms run in, and yeah, he gets pulled out. So no, he doesn't get pulled out.
No, we think he does.
Right, and then he shows up and attacks Atom, the Atom, before Strange fires at him, hits him with the thing, and then he attacks Adam Strange.
And kind of leaves them all on the floor, not looking so hot.
Right, and he's in full mode, and then as he's preoccupied with them, she grabs the artifact and says, "You'll have this over my dead body."
Yeah. I missed you. Do you want to know what happened?
Yeah.
I killed you in your sleep because you were the only person I ever feared. It's so good.
And Carter
fights back and grabs the mace as the ghost. Yep. We've got this tussle that, from her point of view, just must look like him swinging wildly and not knowing quite what's going on.
It's Jim Carrey in Liar Liar or Ed Norton in Fight Club. That's how I'm picturing this.
Yeah.
But then they both reach. So Carter, of course, is preventing him from attacking Shayra, and they both reach out.
It's all three of them.
Well, all three of them, yeah. But they touch the artifact at the same time, and they disappear. And that leaves Adam Strange and the Atom to wonder where they went. And next one's called Beyond the Void. And I know from reading the solicits, a new villain enters.
Okay.
Into this whole void thing that goes back to the first arc. So.
All right. Oh man, this book is so good. Like this This has become low key like one of my favorite books.
Right now. Might be my favorite book DC puts out.
It might be my favorite ongoing. I'm not willing to put it necessarily above some of the minis and
that's what I mean.
That go on, but in terms of the ongoing things,
the mainstream superhero stuff, like I look forward to it every month.
It's a book that I always kind of forget when I'm thinking about great books that are there right now. When I'm excited to read this, I'm excited to read that. I'm thinking, obviously Strange Adventures and your big things like that. And then every time this comes out and I start it, the first thing I read this week, so I was like, oh, this is here. I need to read this because it's so good.
Yeah. And I feel like Hawkman should be in my top 5 heroes. And I think Venditti's pushing him there just because he's an archaeologist that goes on globetrotting adventures, but he also swings a mace like a barbarian. Like, doesn't get more me than that.
And literally, the only things we can really complain about are the Hawkwoman, Hawkgirl, because we know this is the Thanagarian one.
Right.
We know that. It even tells us in the caption boxes when they're introducing the characters. Also, just on that, I appreciate the hell out of them. Even in this issue, we're at literally the last issue of the arc, going the Atom and Adam Strange and Hawkwoman, and just having a little box of who they all are, just in case.
Yeah. It's again this and Batman and the Outsiders feel like throwbacks to when I got into comics and I got excited to read them, because it didn't I know this is connected to the Year of the Villain stuff because of Sky Tyrant. However, with the story that Venditti has told,
it's made it so it doesn't matter. This will stand the test of time. If you read this in 5 years' time and don't want to read everything that's going on in the DC universe, he got possessed by an evil version of himself that took control. That was lying dormant, right? Yeah.
So this is taking place in its own little thing, and it feels like I can just read this and be fine. And I feel the same with Batman and the Outsiders, where, you know, as much as I love interconnectedness, and it feels nice when
Sometimes
it's
it's nice to have a separate book as well.
Yeah,
But
and it's
I think
just
there's a difference as well between having like a book that is out of continuity and separate, which has its own appeal, of course.
right.
But as opposed to this, where it's a long form, you know, we're 20 odd issues in, it's going for the foreseeable future,
Yep.
and is part of that larger universe. It fits within the larger tapestry, but
Right.
you don't have to be reading anything else at all.
No, and it plays with the not the origin, but like the complete Hawkman character. Like we've had the Shade show up, right? And we've had Adam Strange and the Atom and Hawk Girl or Hawkwoman. Maybe we'll end up with Hawk Girl at some point. I don't know what's going on with that.
And we're playing with all the lives and
right.
Because I know, I think the solicit that we just got for Hawkman, I feel like that was like another diary-esque issue. I don't know if it was a diary issue, but it felt like that.
I think so, but you know, the one that came out this week, the solicit, definitely leans into, you know, the Qatar Deathbringer side of things.
Yeah.
But again, he's just telling his own story using all the elements of Hawkman. It's like the ultimate Hawkman story, I guess. And I really thought only Johns could do that. And this is pushing it into as good as the John stuff is. I think this is better.
Yeah, I think it's weird because obviously that first 12-issue story, which is fantastic, is the Hawkman story that ties it all together. It's the Hawkman origin again, which how many times have we seen that? And it was still great. It's probably the definitive version of that, and because it encompasses any version you want to ever tell with Hawkman,
right? And
any version you ever want to tell in the future as well. Like it works for all of them, so it's really smart in that sense. But the fact that it's gone on beyond that and is doing all this extra stuff that's really solid storytelling in its own right is what kind of puts this book into the next tier.
Yeah, definitely. So ratings. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll jump in with a 9.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I was going to say 8.5, but I guess I'll go with a 9 as well to match Connor.
You don't have to. You can give it the 8.5.
No, I don't want it to sound like you liked it more than me. So, it's really good. I really enjoyed this book.